A child's silence is often misunderstood. Behind their quiet demeanor may lie a deep sense of abandonment, neglect, and emotional pain. The ignored child, often invisible in a crowd, silently struggles with feelings of worthlessness and isolation. While attention is often given to children who act out or demand notice, those who fade into the background are frequently left to suffer in silence. Their psychological scars are not as immediately visible, but they run deep, affecting their self-esteem, emotional development, and future relationships. In the silent struggle, we delve into the world of the ignored child, exploring how the lack of attention and recognition impacts their mental health and how this silent struggle shapes their understanding of themselves and the world around them. Emotional neglect is a silent and insidious form of harm that often goes unnoticed, yet its impact can be far-reaching and profound, especially in childhood. Unlike physical neglect, emotional neglect doesn't leave visible scars, making it difficult to recognize and even harder to address. When children grow up without consistent emotional support, nurturing, or validation from their caregivers, they may begin to feel invisible and unimportant. The psychological pain of emotional neglect is not always immediately apparent, but it can shape a child's sense of self-worth and influence their emotional and psychological development for years to come. Children need emotional connection just as much as they need physical care. They thrive on positive reinforcement, love, and attention from their caregivers, which helps them build confidence and learn how to interact with others. When these needs are unmet, children often internalize the message that they are unworthy of attention or affection. They may feel as though they don't matter, believing that no one cares about their thoughts, feelings, or existence. This sense of invisibility can be deeply isolating and confusing. The lack of emotional engagement makes it difficult for children to learn how to express themselves, process their emotions, or build healthy relationships with others. One of the most damaging aspects of emotional neglect is that it often goes unnoticed. Caregivers may provide for a child's physical needs, food, shelter, clothing, but fail to recognize the importance of emotional nurturing. The child may be physically safe but emotionally abandoned. Without guidance, love, or validation, the child may struggle with feelings of shame and inadequacy. As they grow older, they may withdraw emotionally, avoiding connections to protect themselves from further hurt, or they may act out in an attempt to gain attention, sometimes misinterpreting the need for validation as a desire to misbehave. The consequences of emotional neglect are subtle but long-lasting. Children who experience emotional neglect may develop low self-esteem and struggle with self-worth. Their ability to trust others or form secure, healthy relationships can be impaired, leading to difficulties in both friendships and romantic relationships later in life. Without the emotional foundation built in childhood, these individuals may struggle with feelings of emptiness or a sense of disconnection from the world around them. They may even carry unresolved feelings of anger, sadness, or loneliness into adulthood, making it challenging to fully heal and thrive emotionally. The pain of emotional neglect may never be outwardly visible, but it is just as real as any physical wound. Its effects linger and shape the trajectory of a child's development, potentially influencing their adult life in profound ways. Recognizing and addressing emotional neglect is key to helping children heal and ensuring they grow up feeling valued, loved, and connected. The journey to healing begins with recognizing the hidden pain that emotional neglect causes and taking steps to offer the support and validation that every child deserves. Low self-esteem is a common yet profound consequence of emotional neglect in childhood. When children are ignored or overlooked emotionally, They may begin to internalize the belief that they are not worthy of attention, love, or care. This lack of validation doesn't just affect their sense of self in the moment. It shapes their entire self-image, often for years to come. Over time, the ignored child begins to feel that they do not matter, that their thoughts and feelings are inconsequential, and that they are undeserving of love or recognition. This internalized belief forms the foundation of low self-esteem. The development of low self-esteem often begins with the absence of positive reinforcement and validation from caregivers. A child who grows up without praise, encouragement, or support might feel that their efforts are futile or go unnoticed. This lack of reinforcement leaves the child wondering if they are capable of succeeding or even deserving of success. They begin to question their value not because of any objective lack, but because they are never told they are enough. In the absence of this vital affirmation, children may believe that something is inherently wrong with them, that they simply aren't worthy of attention or affection. As this emotional neglect continues, the child's self-esteem deteriorates. Every missed opportunity for encouragement chips away at their confidence, leaving them feeling increasingly inadequate. Without the safety net of positive affirmation, children with emotional neglect may begin to feel disconnected from others, unable to believe in their own potential. They might struggle with the idea of self-worth, unsure of who they are or where they fit in the world. The result is a pervasive feeling of inadequacy that colors their interactions and decisions. Moreover, children with low self-esteem may develop perfectionistic tendencies as they try to compensate for the lack of validation. They might push themselves harder than necessary, seeking approval and recognition from others. However, because this approval was never consistently available in childhood, they often fail to feel truly validated, no matter how hard they try. Their self-worth remains tied to external achievements or the fleeting approval of others, making it difficult to build a lasting, internal sense of value. The long-term effects of emotional neglect and low self-esteem can persist into adulthood. People who grew up without emotional support often continue to struggle with self-doubt, low confidence, and a deep-seated fear of rejection. Relationships, both personal and professional, can be impacted by the lingering effects of low self-worth. It can lead to a cycle of unhealthy attachments or avoidance, and often manifests as anxiety, depression, or other emotional struggles. Ultimately, the development of low self-esteem is a direct result of the emotional neglect a child experiences. The absence of love, attention, and validation can leave deep emotional scars that impact the way an individual sees themselves for a lifetime. Healing is possible, but it requires intervention, support, and a shift towards self-acceptance and self-compassion. The first step in healing is recognizing that low self-esteem is not a reflection of one's true worth, but rather a product of unmet emotional needs that can be addressed through love, care, and understanding. For children who grow up feeling ignored and emotionally neglected, the inability to form healthy, trusting relationships is a common and painful consequence. When a child's emotional needs are consistently unmet, they may begin to withdraw from social interactions, believing that others won't value or understand them. This withdrawal can evolve into chronic social isolation, as they grow up unable to trust others or feeling unworthy of meaningful relationships. The emotional neglect they experienced in childhood becomes the lens through which they view the world, making it difficult to connect with others on a deeper level. Socialization, especially in childhood, is crucial for emotional development. It is through interaction with others that children learn about trust, empathy, and the importance of mutual care. However, for a neglected child, these early lessons are never fully realized. When a child's emotional needs are overlooked, they often feel invisible to others, which makes it harder to understand and navigate social dynamics. Instead of feeling like they belong, they begin to see themselves as outsiders, unworthy of the attention or affection of their peers. This belief, rooted in neglect, creates a barrier to forming lasting, genuine connections. As a result, children who experience emotional neglect often grow up with difficulty trusting others. They may develop a deep fear of rejection, rooted in the repeated experiences of emotional abandonment. This fear of rejection can be paralyzing, preventing them from reaching out or forming bonds. In social situations, they might appear withdrawn, shy, or even indifferent, which can be misinterpreted by others as disinterest or aloofness. In reality, they are struggling internally with feelings of inadequacy and a lack of self-worth, making it nearly impossible for them to engage with others authentically. The absence of close, supportive relationships in childhood also impacts how these individuals approach relationships as adults. They may either avoid intimacy altogether, fearing that closeness will result in further emotional pain, or they may become overly dependent on others for validation, unable to establish healthy boundaries. Both extremes are the result of the early neglect they experienced, and both can lead to unhealthy, unfulfilling relationships. This pattern of social isolation and difficulty forming connections doesn't just affect childhood interactions. It follows the neglected child into adulthood. They may struggle with maintaining friendships, experience challenges in romantic relationships, or even face difficulties in professional settings where teamwork and trust are essential. The emotional scars from childhood can create an ongoing cycle of isolation, reinforcing their belief that they are unworthy of love and belonging. Breaking the cycle of social isolation begins with healing the wounds of neglect. It requires learning to trust oneself and others again, building self-esteem, and understanding that meaningful relationships are built on mutual respect and care. Therapy, support groups, and compassionate relationships can help these individuals open up and experience genuine, healthy connections for the first time. Through time and emotional healing, it's possible to break free from the isolation created by neglect and begin to form the meaningful, supportive relationships that every individual deserves. For children who grow up feeling emotionally neglected, the psychological toll can be devastating. While emotional neglect often manifests as low self-esteem, it also frequently contributes to deeper, more chronic mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. These children may internalize their feelings of invisibility, rejection, and inadequacy, which can evolve into silent struggles with their mental health. The weight of these emotions, often unspoken and unnoticed, can lead to the development of anxiety, depression, and other emotional disorders that persist into adolescence and adulthood. Anxiety in children who experience emotional neglect is often rooted in fear and uncertainty. When a child is consistently ignored or undervalued, they may begin to feel that the world is an unsafe place where their needs will never be met. They may constantly worry about being abandoned or rejected, fearing that they are not deserving of love or attention. This constant state of worry can lead to generalized anxiety, where even everyday situations feel overwhelming and fraught with fear. The child's internal narrative becomes dominated by the belief that they are unworthy, and this belief can create a perpetual cycle of anxiety, where the fear of further neglect keeps them in a constant state of emotional tension. Similarly, depression often arises from the same sense of emotional abandonment. The ignored child may begin to feel as though they are powerless to change their circumstances, leading to a pervasive sense of hopelessness. They may struggle with feelings of worthlessness, convinced that they do not matter enough to warrant care or affection. This belief can be paralyzing, making it difficult for them to engage with others, pursue goals, or find joy in life. The isolation and lack of support can exacerbate depressive feelings, leaving the child feeling trapped in their own mind. For many, the depression is quiet and internal, not readily visible to the outside world. They may appear fine on the surface, masking their struggles with a smile, but inside, they are battling a constant storm of sadness and despair. The silent nature of this internal struggle makes it harder for those affected to ask for help. Children who are ignored emotionally may grow up believing that their feelings are unimportant, or they may fear being seen as weak or burdensome. This reluctance to seek support can further entrench their anxiety and depression as they try to manage overwhelming emotions alone. The longer these feelings go unaddressed, the harder it becomes to break the cycle of suffering. Healing from the silent struggles of anxiety and depression caused by emotional neglect requires compassion, understanding, and professional support. Therapy, emotional validation, and learning healthy coping mechanisms can help those affected regain control over their mental health. With time and support, it is possible to break free from the grip of these mental health issues, rediscover self-worth, and build a more fulfilling, emotionally healthy life. Healing from the deep psychological wounds caused by emotional neglect is not an easy journey, but it is possible. The first step toward recovery is acknowledging the pain caused by being ignored, undervalued, or neglected. While these wounds may not leave physical scars, they profoundly shape an individual's sense of self-worth, relationships, and overall emotional health. The road to healing requires compassion, time, and the willingness to engage in self-care practices that allow the individual to reclaim their sense of value, trust, and connection with others. One of the key elements of recovery is learning to validate one's own feelings. Emotional neglect often leads individuals to believe that their feelings don't matter or are not worthy of attention. Over time, this can result in a suppressed emotional state where the individual avoids or ignores their own needs. Therapy, especially talk therapy, plays a crucial role in helping individuals process and express their emotions. A trained therapist can help the individual unravel years of emotional suppression and begin the process of self-validation, showing them that their feelings are important and deserve to be acknowledged. This validation lays the foundation for building healthier self-esteem and emotional resilience. In addition to therapy, self-compassion is a powerful tool for healing. Individuals who have experienced emotional neglect often struggle with feelings of shame and self-criticism. Learning to treat oneself with kindness and understanding, rather than judgment, can significantly shift the recovery process. Self-compassion involves accepting that it's okay to have flaws and emotional scars, and that healing is not a sign of weakness, but a strength. Practicing mindfulness and positive self-talk can help individuals combat the negative thought patterns that arise from emotional neglect, replacing them with healthier, more supportive beliefs. Another important aspect of recovery is building a support system of people who understand and respect emotional boundaries. For many neglected children, trusting others and forming healthy relationships can be incredibly difficult. They may be afraid of rejection or feel unworthy of love. However, supportive relationships can offer the affirmation and encouragement needed to heal. These relationships provide a safe space for individuals to practice vulnerability and trust without the fear of being ignored or abandoned. Surrounding oneself with compassionate, understanding individuals can counter the isolation felt during years of emotional neglect. Finally, the recovery process involves learning to set and respect personal boundaries. Individuals who have experienced emotional neglect often struggle with boundary setting, either overgiving in relationships or becoming emotionally distant. By learning to establish clear, healthy boundaries, individuals can protect their emotional well-being while allowing themselves to give and receive love and support in a balanced, sustainable way. Healing from the invisible wounds of emotional neglect is a journey of self-discovery, compassion, and growth. It requires time, patience, and a willingness to face difficult emotions head-on. However, with the right support, self-compassion, and tools for recovery, individuals can overcome the impact of neglect and move forward with a healthier sense of self, deeper connections, and an empowered, fulfilled life.